Hello everyone. So welcome back. This is the second part of how to recreate the Midjourney layout. In the previous one, we built together the sidebar menu, including the tablet and mobile. So if you want to follow along, you can watch the previous one. But in this time, we will focusing of how to recreate this missionary layout. Um, All right, so this is where we come so far. Where we came so far, we have the sidebar. Here we have the area of the missionary layout, which is currently is empty. Um, and again, I have my editor open twice because this is the version that I've already created, and we need to recreate it in a different um, in a different page. All right, so the first thing that we need to know is that everything that is going to placed in terms of content is coming from the CMS, okay, it's the database, because we don't want to handle with static data. um, we want to be able to update the data very easily, and also for better performance we want to create the options to load more item as we scroll down. The Midjourney doesn't have this feature right now because I think it's still in I don't know, beta or something. um, so let's see how the CMS looks like. So this is my feed database. It's super simple. I have a title and image. This is it basically, and you can see that each item has um, its own label. We will use it later to filter or to search for a specific item, and then we have the image. Each image have different aspect ratio. So I don't know if you can see it, but for example, this image is much higher than this image, for example, and this is allow us to create this unique layout. So as you can see, the image's height is different from each other. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is to create the main layout, which is the section. Okay, so this is the highest level, and I call it feed, and it contains two rows. Okay, the first row is to contain the search bar, which is sticky, and the second one is a container that is contain all the layout basically. And the way that this layout is placed is basically we have 5 repeaters. Okay, we have 5 repeaters because we have 5 columns. So we take the biggest screen and then we go down to tablet and mobile, which have a different amount of repeaters. So let's see how it looks like. So here we have 5, and if we will go to tablet, so now we have 3, and in mobile we have 2. Okay, so this is how we are going to build it. So the best way to do it is to build the one repeater and adjust it to tablet and mobile to make it looks exactly as we want, and then duplicate it. Okay, so the repeater is super simple. So let's see how a single one is built, and then we will I'll just copy it and show you how to create the parent layout for the repeater wrappers. Okay, so let's just copy it and paste it right here. This is not the repeater, so let's duplicate it and cut it and paste it right here, so it's not working. Cut. Okay, so the repeater looks like this. You can see that the layout of the repeater is set to cards, but you can also choose list. It's exactly the same. You need a single item per row. So this is the most important thing. And you only need one repeater item. You don't need to put it, I think by default when you add a repeater, you have 3 items. So let's see very quickly. So if I'll add a repeater right here, so it's come with 3. So you need to delete these 2 and keep only 1, and then you can either change from here to have only 1 item, or you can set it to list. Okay, it's exactly the same. I prefer to use cards. In this example I use cards, but it's really doesn't matter. Okay, so what do we have inside of each item? So first of all, we have an image, and this is the most important part. So you know what, let's do it again. So I have a repeater. I set it to, just for this example, to be on the start, and then I'm adding an image into the repeater item. Okay, and this image should be 100%. It doesn't matter the height. We will see why. It doesn't matter what the height is. I'll just dock it to be top left 0, and I'll set it to be 100% of the item width. And then this is important part. Okay, I'm intentionally make the image very narrow, and then I'm changing the settings of the image to, instead of fit the bounding box, to be keep image ratio. So what's happening exactly is that the image is always fitting in the width, but the height is coming from the original image proportion. Okay, so here if we have 2 different images, let's see, I'll add another item. So if I'll change this image to something else, let's take for example height, like this image. Okay, let's update it. So you can see that this image height is different from this one, because the images always keep its aspect ratio. The second important thing is to make sure the item doesn't have its own height. So usually it's coming from the row. So here you can see that we have a minimum height of 450 pixels. So let's just change it to FR, and then the item is always fitting the image. But because here we have 2 items, which is one of next to each other, so the item is always matching the height of the biggest 8 item in the same row. So this is why we need to set 1 item for row, and then we'll get these results that each item, if you make it the entire repeater narrower, so you can see that this item is smaller than this item. Okay, so this is the idea, but we need a single item only. So I added, if I remember correctly, 3 pixels radius, and I don't want it to scale, so the image has like not a sharp corners. All right, the second thing is that what I'm doing is that I'm adding a container that will contain the title. As you can see, I called it title wrapper, and specifically in my design I also have a CSS to it, which is basically to have the gradient when you hover the item. So let's see in the Midjourney feed. So as you hover the item, so you can see this black to transparent gradient. So this is how I created this effect. So it's good practice to add to your layer name what extra stuff you have on this item, because you don't really remember that if you have a CSS to it, or hover animation, or if it's hidden by default. Actually hidden, it's very clear because you have this pattern, but I like to give a very descriptive names for my layers. So let's do it. So basically I'm adding a container, and I think I stretch it. Yeah, so I can simply stretch it, and I'll add some padding because I need a title inside this container. So let's duplicate this title, and I will dock it to bottom and left. It will be 100% of its parent, which is the container. And then I'm adding some padding so the title won't be stick to the edge. So the padding is 16 pixels all over. So let's do it, 16 pixels. So it looks something like this, which is great. And then I don't want to have the background color from to the container itself. I will make it transparent, and I want to apply the background gradient using CSS. So let's see what class I added here. So I call it feed wrap title wrapper. So if I'll go to the go to the global CSS, so here you can see that I have the feed card, and this is the class that I give. So simply I have a background image which is a linear gradient. You can easily change it to whatever you like. So let's do it very quickly, and I'll show you how you can change it very easily. So again, I will select the item wrapper, the title wrapper container, and I can simply add this class to it. So it was feed title wrapper, and now you can see slightly that we have here different gradient. So let's see how we can, without even know how coding, you can do it super easily. So you can go to background gradient CSS generator, okay, and then you can select one of these, and then actually, what is this one? I love this man. He's awesome. But anyway, let's go to this one. So you can clearly see the type of gradient that you're choosing. So let's do something is like radical. So let's go to this pink, and I can change the direction. So let's do something like this, and I can play around with the transparency. For example, I select the black, and if I'll make it solid, like 100% with no transparency, you will get these results. But I want it to be transparent. And then simply this is a good idea to support all type of browsers. And then I'll copy this to clipboard and simply open my my CSS, and then I can just replace it like this, and immediately that you can see that I have a different gradient right there. Okay, so this is the principle. Super easy. What's happened to my coding? I think it's because I'm open on 2 tabs. I will take control. All right. So basically this is a single item, and here what you see here, a placeholder. So basically this is an image that I've created that maybe I can change it right from here, my upload. So you can see that I created an images and put like a placeholder, and then I have this this image. All right, so this is a single item, and another important thing that you need to know is that if you like to have these kind of grid lines, so basically it's the gap between items. So if I'll add another item, so let's clone this item. So you see this gap, so this is the gap that we set for each between the item for repeater. So I did something like 2 pixels, and again I don't want it to scale, so it looks very, very subtle. All right, another thing that we want to do is, let's bring back the you know what, let's keep it that way. So another thing that I want to do, I want to make the title by default hidden, and as I hover I want the title to pop out, same as we see right here. So as you know, it's super easy. I'm selecting the item and then go to animation and effects and click to add hover animation, and I'll go to custom because I love to do my animation custom, and I select the this is why naming is important. This is the title, this is the title wrapper. So it should be 100% opacity when the animation is on, and in the initial state it should be 0. Okay, and then it looks something like this. Let's go to preview. Actually we can do it from here. Play. So it's okay, so it's super easy, and it's a good practice to give naming. So this is show title wrapper. Okay, great. The last thing that I want to do, I want to create entrance animation. So again, I'm on the item itself. I can go back to entrance and create like fade or any other animation that you like, and I'll just set it to be 0.8. Okay, so this is a single repeater item. And the second thing that I need to do, first of all, let's cut it and paste it right here. So this is the rebuild page. Here I'm on the original, and here I'm on the rebuild page. Okay, so now before I'll start to, I don't need this text element. Before I start, I need to set the grid to my section. So I click on this menu and go to apply advanced CSS grid, and I want to have 2 rows. So this repeater should be on the second row, but I will place it in a container so I can manage all my repeaters together. So let's add a container, and I'll set it to top left 100%, and I don't you know what, for now I'll keep the background color. Let's do something like this, and I don't want it to scale. I want to have a margin, sorry, I don't have it right now. I want to have, because in my layout I have 5 repeaters, so I want to create a row, column for each one of these. So let's go to apply advanced CSS grid, and then here I want to have 5 columns and 1 row. So let's click apply, and this is exactly the setting that I want. I want each item to be exactly 1/5 of the entire width. So let's select the repeater and I'll simply drag it into my container. Again, I'll dock it left top. It will be 100%. It won't be scaled, and it should placed on the, where is the repeater, on the first column, just like this. And here you can see that I have minus margin. Let's remove it. And since that I have some content inside my container, I can now change to the row height to make sure that I don't have any minimum height. I don't need it. So this is the first one. So I need 5 of these. Okay. So let's duplicate it. And again, this is should be 100% top left, and place it on the second column. I won't do everything now. I'll just copy it from here. But we need to keep some gap between the repeater items. So again, I will choose 2 pixels. So now I have this 2 pixels gap, and if I have 2 items in this repeater, so sorry, it should be 2 pixels. Okay. Again, for this one, remember that if you forgot to do something, you need to do it exactly the same for each container. So this should be also 2 pixels. And then if I have another item, so it has these 2 pixels. And if I'll change this image to something else, so this placeholder has different height, so you can see that we start to getting this kind of mosaic layout, right? So this is exactly what we need to do for 5 times for each repeater. Before I'll copy everything from here, I want to explain a specific things that we need to do for each breakpoint. So believe me, it's super important to give names to your repeater. So this will be the repeater number 1, and this will be the repeater number 2. I'll quickly create another one just to make the point and rename it to repeater number 3, and again set it to be on the third column, and like this. Okay. So why it's important is basically you need to have different amount of repeaters for each breakpoint. So if I'll go to tablet, so in tablet I do have 3 items, so it's I'm good. But if I have 5 here, I need to hide these 2, and also change my grid row, my grid settings to be, instead of 5, to have 3 columns. Okay, and then I need to rearrange each repeater to sit on its own column, and everything should be docked to the top. This is super important. So let's place it really quickly. So you see that I see the numbers. I don't care if there is stuff that is overlapping, so I know exactly what I'm doing. So let's do another 100%, and it sit on the third one. And now if I'll go to mobile, so now I need to have only 2, right? So I need to hide this third one, so let's hide it. And now I need to reset my my grid row. So instead of 3, I need to have 2 columns, and again I need to set my repeater to sit very good on my grid. So you should have something like this. I just want to mention that you don't have to stick to exactly what I'm doing. You can decide that you have only 1 item here, which is perfectly good. You just need to adjust the layout as it should. Okay, so this is the principle. So To work much quicker, I'll copy this layout that I already created and paste it instead of this container, which is exactly the same, just completed with 5 repeater items. Okay, so now the second thing that is super important to do for this repeater is to give the proper IDs to each one of these. So you can see that I have same IDs as I have for the layers naming, repeater naming. I have for IDs repeater 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's very straightforward. Okay, so this is the layout for the repeater itself, and now we have the search input, which is simply I have a container that is stick to the top. You can see I write here a sticky, so it's a container. It stick to the top. It has some padding. It's 10, 20 from top, and inside of it I have the search input, which is an input element, and we have another text that is used to display how much items that we have, and if you search for something, it should display how much results you get to the search term. Okay, and again, you have to adjust the settings based on what you like on different screen sizes. So instead of rebuilding it, I'll just copy it. So let's copy it and paste it right here. And we have the search container. Let's make it 100%. Stick to the top and left. What's happened? Where is it? Oh, it's right there. Okay, so the reason is that you see it differently from on the real website. So let's go to the home page for exactly. Here you see that it's much bigger and you don't have the title on top. So this is related to it. It's because I use some custom CSS to change the label. Instead of to be on top, to be on position, absolute position, and then on focus. I'm just hiding it. I have a tutorial about it, but it's not that important. Okay, so since we have it, we have the search and we have the repeaters, I'll change the row, the first row, to be max content, same as the repeater and as the input, and the second row, which is for the containers, I'll set it to be 1FR. And then we need to have some gaps here, so let's copy exactly the same gaps, which is 40 pixels. Right now I'm in the section itself. Let's change it to feed, and I'll set the gaps for 40 pixels, and it looks just like this. Okay, if you want to quickly see this CSS, it's called search input, and right here I have a feed search input, and search input, I'm changing the label to be absolute position, and on focus, sorry, and on focus I'm changing it to be opacity 0, so you get this effect. And I have different settings for tablet and mobile. Alright, you don't have to use it. Okay, so basically, if we will see now, if we'll go to tablet, you can see that we have here three repeaters, and in mobile we have 2 repeaters. Something is messed up with my section because I have minimum height, so let's remove it. So you can see it's kind of difficult to understand what's going on, but you understand, right? Again, I need to make sure that I don't have any height for the repeater itself. Another thing that I did, because I know that I will have a lot of content, so I don't want by any chance that when I'm loading the website for the first time, I don't want to see the footer. Okay, so this is why I selected the section and set a minimum height of 100 VH, which is kind of a full screen, and then I always have some height to my section. The container, the repeater wrapper is docked to the bottom, which is not good. It should be always docked to the top. So in mobile it's changed position, so I need to dock it to the top, and then it's always start from the beginning. All right. What else? You know what? Let's publish it to see what we have so far. So let's go back to our blank and then refresh it. So as you can see, we have 5 repeaters which are empty. If everyone has this entrance animation we set, and each item, if I'm hovering it, I see the title, okay, is with this hover animation. So let's see how it looks on tablet. We change now to 3 repeaters, and then actually I'm missing here the gaps, and in mobile I have 2 items. Great. Okay, so basically we have the layout that we need, and now we need to add, I forgot to add this gap, so we will add it, and now we will add another repeater, which is the most important part of this layout, and this is the kind of the biggest tricks that allow me to get the best performance that I want to achieve this layout. So first of all, let's do this gap, which is on this section itself. It's 40 pixels on desktop and 2 pixels on mobile. So let's select this section and let's go to padding, 40 pixels, sorry, only from the right side, 40 pixels, and exactly the same on tablet, and in mobile I'll have 2 pixels and 10 pixels from bottom. So it's something like this. Actually in top I don't have any, so I need to remove it. Okay, great.